and Beer Media, in association with Sports Talk with Friends, we present to you BS and Bourbon. And now, here's Craig and Dale.
Oh yeah, Craig. We are about to cover the 2018 draft. How you doing today, man?
I was doing pretty good until I realized we had to cover the 2018 draft.
Oh, so you thought we were just gonna be like the old McDonald's commercial where Larry Bird and Jordan were playing horse and like shooting from the freeway off the side of the building, nothing but net. Like you thought that's how it was gonna be all over for the 2018 draft, Craig?
Yeah, for a little while. No, we'll get into it, but I remember this draft really, really clearly and for very distinct reasons. And oh boy.
You know, it was a couple of different reasons I remember this draft. My first thing is I did not want to draft Lamar Jackson. And
I did.
Everybody kept saying Lamar Jackson.
You mean NFL MVP Lamar Jackson, who's made the playoffs every year he's played? That one?
Yep, that guy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Remember, I am anti-draft quarterback. Like we had Breeze. I was like, let's go.
To be clear,
get him some help. That's all we need.
Now, people put value in stuff like MVP awards.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson has one more than Drew Brees ever got.
Yeah. It's true.
And he was right there, and we could have drafted him.
I like that other award that people pick up at the end of the season when they rain confetti down with the silver trophy and stuff. I remember that, like that. That's the award.
I have an opinion about that based on this draft as well.
So yeah, this is the infamous draft where the Saints traded up to get Marcus Davenport. And of course, you'll have that on the cover art there because that's the most memorable part of this draft. We did get some other guys. Some guys are players still playing in this league, and some guys are not players playing in this league, and those are problems, Craig. So
those are problems. Even guys playing in this league, maybe guys wearing number 0 in Minnesota are problems. There's lots of problems with this draft, and that as good as 2017 was, this might be as bad.
Yes,
for the Saints.
Yes, you could not do anything wrong in 2017, but 2018 is very little right here.
Okay, and we're gonna go through it one by one, and we're gonna get to it. But
yeah, let's start with everybody's favorite pick, especially Dave. Okay, Marcus Davenport. We trade up. Trade 2 first-round picks. Well, the first-round pick that year and the next year to move up in the draft to draft Marcus Davenport out of UTSA. Your immediate thoughts of how you felt in that moment?
In that moment, I was furious because I wanted Lamar Jackson. I wanted a quarterback. I thought Breeze had the writing on the wall, and Lamar Jackson, the only thing he ever did wrong was play LSU in that bowl game. Every other game he played in was magical. We just beat the hell out of him. So a lot of folks, were turned off by that. I wasn't one of them. I wanted a quarterback. I wanted fast, exciting, the future,
Okay.
But that's not really about that. What it really is about is Davenport became a good player when healthy eventually.
In spurts,
in spurts. If we had drafted a player at 14 in this draft that contributed in 2018, and Davenport did not. Davenport developed and he contributed a few years later. If we had drafted a player, basically any player at any position that contributed immediately in 2018, we would have won the Super Bowl that year. No, look. How close were we to going to the Super Bowl against a weak New England team? New England was ripe for the picking, and if we had gotten there, we'd have beat the brakes off them. We didn't go because of one missed call, right? If we had one better player on the line, in the secondary, at linebacker, anywhere, if we had one better player anywhere, if we had one first round talent anywhere on that roster, it doesn't come down to one play. We're up by a couple points and we beat the Rams and we win the Super Bowl. And Breeze rides off into the sunset with his second ring, and everything is magical. And instead, we got Marcus Davenport. Marcus Davenport is the reason that Breeze does not have a second ring.
Oh, wow.
That's not fair.
Directly blaming this guy. Okay.
The guy who picked Marcus Davenport, the guy who decided that this guy was going to be our heir apparent to Cam Jordan. He's going to be the other bookend. This is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason that Breeze didn't win Super Bowl. Any contribution at all. We were so close.
Mm-hmm.
We were so close.
Yeah.
That any singular contribution at any position, and we would have gone to and won the Super Bowl. And instead, we got Marcus Davenport.
Well, let's look at this next pick, Tre'Quan Smith, the wide receiver out of UCF, drafted in what, the third round?
Third round. 91.
Yes. So I'm looking at the Saints' offensive, starters, right? And so Michael Thomas was the wide receiver, 1,400 yards. Tre'Quan Smith got 28 catches for 427 yards, 5 touchdowns. As a rookie wide receiver, would you be optimistic if your guy that you picked in the third round put up numbers like this?
Yeah, I think if a third round pick comes in, scores 5 touchdowns, the catches are a little low, but they kind of used him more as a deep threat. Rookie year, fine. Look, I'm not as down on Tre'Quan's whole tenure here as a lot of folks are.
Okay.
He was a third round pick and he just never became a superstar. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a contributor for a long time. He gets hurt a lot, whatever. Like, if you're expecting more than that from a third round pick from UCF, I don't know what to tell you. I was disappointed personally because I remember going on record saying, "Oh, this reminds me of the Kamara pick. Like, this is gonna be really exciting," because I watched a lot of UCF and how they're undefeated.
Right.
I drank a lot of that Kool-Aid, and so I remember thinking it was going to be a big deal and he was going to be a great player, and he wasn't. He was fine, but he was never the kind of player I thought he was going to end up being. But in general, I don't think you can say that's a miss. I think that's fine. He's still on the team however many years later for a third round pick. I mean, that is a good pick. Probably the best pick the Saints make in this draft.
He's Holy crap, that is
horrific.
He's definitely not a bust, for sure.
Not bust is the criteria for being the best pick in this draft.
But just looking at receiving stats, like the second leading receiver on the team was Kamara with 709 yards, 81 catches, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, we used to run the ball back then. Remember that? That was fun.
But I can make the case that if we have another receiver to complement Mike Thomas, we can have we have a better offense, and the offense helps to propel us in the playoffs. And
are you saying if we drafted a good receiver at pick 14, we win the Super Bowl? Because I agree with you.
Maybe so.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yep.
And I don't know if we're going to pull it up right now, but I guarantee you that we're going to look at that and what receivers were available at pick 14 in round 1, and we're going to go, oh, Jesus.
That's terrible. The next pick, Rick Leonard. Now, I'll be honest, I went nuts when this pick happened because I couldn't find him on any of my draft guides, anything I studied, like nothing. And then Sean Payton comes out there and he has his press conference after the draft and he says, Rick Leonard improved every game during this season. And I'm like, so? Like that was his reasoning for drafting this guy in what the fourth round. And I was livid with this pick, and just listening to what Mel Kiper and everybody was saying was like, I did not have this guy on my draft board. This is a big reach and everything like that. So, and I do remember Saints fans on Twitter being like, well, you guys don't work for the Saints. You guys don't have all the info they have. Maybe you're wrong. Well, you know what? I was right.
I remember I remember as an O lineman, I dug into it a little bit because I always try to know as much as I can about it all. And I remember thinking that he was really raw, and I
Hmm.
thought, okay, well, he's a development. Like, he's either gonna figure it out and be really good, or I'm never gonna hear from him again. And it
Hmm.
was the latter. So I mean, I wasn't disappointed. Where he was drafted, who cares? You know what I mean? Uh, but yeah, I mean, not much ever came from it.
Yeah, but why? Why though? Like, okay, so if you spend a 4th round pick on somebody who's no longer in the league, like that's a problem for me. Like you're
Yeah,
wasting assets,
yeah, I get it.
you know.
Oh,
Um,
here you go. Here you go. At number
okay.
24 in the 2018 draft, DJ Moore went to the Panthers.
Oh,
And then
see,
at 26, Calvin Ridley went
right,
to the.
right, right.
Oof.
Those guys could have helped Mike Thomas out, and we could have had better offense that year, and we probably could have did something.
Or we could have added a running back. Could have added Nick Chubb in that
Mm,
draft too.
mm,
Could have
yes.
added a tight end. Mike just Gesicki was right there.
I mean, shoot, we could have
Dallas
had him
Goedert
this
was right
offseason.
there.
Shoot.
Could have
All
got
right.
added some corner depth. Dante Jackson from LSU was still there.
Oh, they don't draft guys from LSU,
Darius
but
Geis from LSU was still there. DJ Chark, the wide receiver from LSU, was still there.
oh,
Oh
mm,
my God.
mm, mm.
I'm
So
and
many
we
misses
draft
there.
and we drafted Marcus Davenport.
All right, let's
Mark
go to
Andrews was there. Orlando Brown Jr. was available.
that's gonna make you jump off the bridge, Craig. Don't do that
Oh
anymore.
my God, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have looked. Oh, that's disgusting. Could you
Hmm.
imagine if Breeze had DJ Moore across from Michael Thomas with Alvin
Yes,
Kamara at the backfield?
exactly, exactly, man.
And instead, we got Marcus Davenport.
Hmm. Hmm.
And no first round pick the next year.
No 1st round pick the next year. Exactly right. Yes. So you can
Dave, I hope you're listening to this. I
imagine
hope you
how
listen
the
to this, and I hope that you feel my physical pain I'm experiencing.
you can imagine how the 2019 draft
Oof.
recap is gonna look when we do that one.
Look,
So
we are gonna put the bourbon in BS and bourbon when we record that one.
that's right. All right. The 5th round, Latrell Jamerson.
I like this pick. I liked him. I didn't really work out with the Saints, but I remember thinking that was a good pick.
You did.
Mm,
Okay. So this was a guy drafted out of Wisconsin. I
mm.
was, I was hearing things like special teams and all this, and I'm like,
He had a
whenever I
good
start
camp.
hearing that with a player, first off, I'm like,
Yeah, he had a good camp though. He was making some plays. Underhill was high on him. I think it was
mhm,
Underhill, unless 2018 was the one year that Underhill was in New England.
okay.
But somebody was saying one of those people who knows more about football than we do was saying that he was doing well.
Well, the good thing about him right now is he's playing in the CFL, so
Mm.
he's not a complete bust. He's at least playing in the CFL. So
Well, I mean, bust for the Saints though.
the next one, Cameron Moore, he's a cornerback, and he was out of Boston College.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, this is another guy I was like on the fence about. I kept hearing special teams about him. He's no longer in the league though, so
Right.
this is definitely a bust. Nobody else picked him up. So
Now you're saying bust, but I hear I hear that every 10-piece chicken nuggets that he puts together, he puts an 11th nugget in there,
oh, is
which
that right?
really that makes him pretty awesome. Maybe not for the Saints, but that's pretty cool.
There you go. Make sure you get your nuggets from this guy's place here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The next pick, Boston Scott.
This one makes me mad.
Man, I liked him in preseason.
Yep.
6th-round pick, running back out of Louisiana Tech. I'm like with Louisiana guys.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get me a Louisiana guy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But he's still balling. Like he's
Yeah,
up there
still playing.
in Philadelphia, still looking good. Part of a timeshare. He's a smaller back, quick guy. He has return ability,
Mm-hmm.
and like he was too much of a playmaker, I think, to be discarded and think you're going to get him back on the practice squad.
Yeah, and that's what it was. They were always thinking, okay, well, we like this guy, but we
Yeah.
need this spot, so we're gonna hide him on the practice squad. And he made too many plays for that. Like we never
Yeah.
had the chance to do it. It was just a mistake trying that,
Yeah.
And that's a big miss. outside of Davenport, that's the one that makes me the most mad on this because we had him in the building, and he could have filled some of that Sproles role that we were still using. Could have taken some of the load off of Kamara that we ended up putting too much on late in a last couple of years. That sucks. I'm glad he's still playing. Seems like a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I am, however, glad he lost the Super Bowl because fuck the Eagles.
Yeah. But yeah, still a good draft pick. And especially
the Saints picked him.
6th round.
So it's a bad draft pick for the Saints because we picked him and then he didn't play for us.
I think that's just Sean Payton being cute.
So it's a good draft pick and it's a bad practice squad.
This Sean Payton just being too cute. That's what it is. This is calling reverse at the goal line. That's what it is.
This is I got to tell you, man. As a fan, we changed so quickly. I hate Sean Payton so much right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I remember going to bat for him. Oh, he's not dirty. Bounty Gate was blown out, and he's the best offense. And now I'm like, yeah, screw that guy. He probably cheated everything. I hate him.
Yeah, screw that guy.
I hope he wins 2 games total in Denver, and our 2nd round pick we get from them is fantastic.
That'd be nice. Be real nice.
Screw that guy.
Last pick is Will Clapp.
I love Clapp.
Selected in the 7th round out of LSU.
I love Clapp. I it was the first time in my life that I was ever really excited that we got the Clapp.
Yes, exactly. Listen, I was excited. Player from LSU. He was the starting center. Like I thought for sure he was going to be a contributor.
I mean, he hung around for a while.
He hung around. He's still hanging around in San Diego too. So, I would say for a 7th round pick for sure, he was a successful draft pick. So,
Absolutely.
If you just go by the fact that players are still around, you have Davenport, Traquan Smith, Boston Scott, Will Clapp. Those are 4 players selected in this 18 draft, all still around, all still contributing to their teams. So
sorry, I was at the last game Marcus Davenport played, and I can tell you that he was there, but he did not contribute.
He didn't contribute.
There's a difference between being in the league and doing football things in the league.
You're right. I'm sorry.
I was at that Dan Carolina game.
You are absolutely right, Greg.
I'm going to sleepwalk through a half and then get hurt. No, Clapp did his thing, man. He was a 7th round pick. He hung around for a while, and he's still in the league. I really liked him coming out as he played a lot, very similar to how I played. I was a center at the time.
Okay.
And he was a finesse guy. He didn't overpower people. He won with skill.
Yeah.
He won with technique, and my game was very similar to that at the time. So I remember being a big fan of that pick. Yeah. Although I don't remember thinking he was ever going to break into the starting lineup. I think I was just excited about having an LSU guy around.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I thought about starting lineup or anything, but I just thought he'd be a guy that would at least be like a six guy, rotate in, extra tight end, whatever.
Well, due to our history of injuries, he ended up playing a lot for us. Perhaps more than we would have liked.
More than we would have liked. That's right. But yeah, overall, man, with guys, there are 4 still contributors in the NFL, 1 guy in the CFL. I guess
3 contributors, 3 contributors in Davenport.
Okay, there you go.
I didn't think I was going to get so worked up about this. We're just talking about stuff that happened 5 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking about it, and legit, if we picked anybody, just about damn near anyone else at 14.
Yeah.
I mean, or if we picked Lamar Jackson at 14, like I wanted to do, that wouldn't have changed the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Unless we had like a Taysom Hill package in there for him and he could come in and run a little bit, like there wasn't anything we would have done with him that year. So that wouldn't have mattered. But man, if we got a different defensive end maybe, or a linebacker, or a corner, or God help me, DJ Moore.
Craig's got to go to bed tonight thinking about what could have been.
I'm going to go to bed thinking about whether or not I have enough bourbon to get me till sunrise.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's going to do it for our review of the 2018 draft. We'll do one more here, 2019, and we'll close out this series. And this offseason, we will think about something else to talk about,
We'll get there. We'll get there. Thanks, everybody.
Remember to follow us on Twitter and Facebook at BS and Beer Media. Also smash the like button on YouTube and share with friends.